Right wheel. Forward.
He said, I want to be in the front.
Right wheel. Mark. Trap. Good. Halt. Good afternoon. What we're going to do is spread out a little bit so you can see it. Chris, why don't y'all go to my right? Down this way a little bit. So, we represent
Well, I'm about to kill.
the 18th century, late 18th century. We're representing 4 different units today. The 3rd Light Dragoon, Continental Troops,
I'm gonna come down a little further try to get you all on the end. Can you all hear him or not? All right. He's really talking about the different uniforms that we have out here and what we represent. So I'll start with what I'm wearing. The white coat, what they call the blue facing. You see the facing, the cuffs. That's the 3rd Continental Light Dragoons. It's an American unit, the Continentals. They're actually a formed dragoon unit, is what they called cavalry in the period, but to be the formed unit. He's talking about some of the others where you see the red coat. That's the 17th Light Dragoons. I'm going to spin him around a minute. Not happy to get away from his buddy. But the 17th Light Dragoons was a British cavalry unit that came over from England to fight here in the colonies. And they fought in the north for a while, and when Cornwallis came to the south, the 17th sent a couple of companies that came down with him so that the 17th stayed in the red in the south. And then how many of you have heard of Tarleton? Everyone thinks that Tarleton is the big bad guy, particularly here in South Carolina. Well, his unit were Continentals, so people born in the colonies that were loyalists, so they stayed loyal to the crown. But Tarleton outfitted his men in green, so it's hard to see from here. And the guy on the end wearing the green jacket, he's representing one of Tarleton's. So those would be your main combatants as far as on horseback in the South. That's it. There's one more gentleman that's down there. Actually, there's 2 more to describe. First, I'll talk about the one with the blue coat. So the blue coat, if you notice, his is blue with white, where I have a white coat with blue. He would be the trumpeter, so the musician, with the 3rd Continental Light Dragoons. Musicians just had inverted colors of their main regiment, so you could spot the musician in the formation. And then the last one that I was getting to, there's a gentleman wearing a round hat. He's got a gray coat. He's representing just one of the militia. So a civilian that decided he was going to pick up arms or was told he had to pick up arms and come with the army to fight. So he's in his civilian clothing with his own personal horse, and then he happens to be carrying a rifle with him, so that when he was with his militia unit, if they were armed that way, they tended to come close to where they thought the battle would be fought. They would dismount, tie their horses to trees or leave some people behind to hold their horses, and then most of them would go walk for a while on foot to get close enough to fight. And then when they'd done enough, or they felt like they'd done enough, sometimes too soon, they'd run back, get on their horses, and they could leave. So that's the main folks that you see out here. I'm gonna try and pause to see where he is in his discussion. Okay, he's getting into some of the weapons and tactics. So when you look at me as a mounted dragoon, you see that I have underneath of the bearskins, I've got a couple of pistols on my saddle. They're really good for me about to where you're standing, about as far away as I really want to shoot someone. Yes, I could hit somebody farther away, but the odds are pretty low, especially if I'm moving. They're also used for signaling, that many times as cavalry could be spread out different places. We could signal with pistols and let someone know something's there or need help. The other weapon that I have on my person is my saber that's on the side. This was the predominant weapon for those who were mounted on horseback in the South. When you hear about the Continental Light Dragoons, the 17th, the British Legion, they wanted to fight with swords. And the favorite target for me, someone that I can hit with a sword, is someone like you on foot. A group of disorganized people. If you're a disorganized group, not really standing tightly, and we come the way you saw us maneuver on the field, where we're in a tight body with our horses, we can run you right through you. And most of the time, people who are not really trained are going to have that natural self-preservation to turn and run, and that's our absolute favorite target, because then it's easy for us to knock you over or cut you down with a saber as we go. That really makes this guy here as my number one weapon. The power of the horse, the mass of that horse flesh as we ride into people is what really makes us more powerful, more intimidating. Now, coming against formed infantry, trained British soldiers who know what they're doing, they stay in a tight mass, they have their fixed bayonets, the horse has got enough sense that he's even going to back out and not let me ride into that. Unless there's just so many of us in mass, we can't control it. But that's the biggest portion of the cavalry. I'm trying to give you the summary of what Ed's talking about. And I guess a couple of the other things to give you an idea of what's here. So when you look at the things I'm carrying, with my main weapon to be the horse, then the saber, the other things I have on my person is I've got to be able to drink. So I've got a wooden canteen, so I've got my water. And this bag here, they call it a haversack. Keep a couple of simple things in there. A plate, a spoon, a cup, and then any kind of rations, food that I might be issued is what I would carry in this bag. The other thing I have on my horse, this leather valise that's on the horse, that's where I can keep things like my horse brush, a hoof pick. I could keep a couple of shoes if I needed horseshoes, maybe some nails in there. And also keep things like a spare shirt, a wool hat, and maybe some mittens for this time of year. And then on top of it, I don't have it on top right now, but if I had a spare blanket or if I had a cloak, I actually have my cloak inside of this one, but a cloak is just think of a long cape type thing that I could wear. Very good to have on horseback because I can wrap myself in a cloak, I can fold the cape around my legs, and then I'm helping to trap some of the heat from the horse to help pull that inside the cloak while I'm riding as to what's there. The one thing that stays cold no matter what are the feet. The boots, socks, they don't do well in the wintertime, especially with all that air hitting it while you're riding on horseback. And a cloak isn't just long enough to help cover it up. And I know Ed can talk a long time down there, and I'm trying to give the shorter version. Are there any quick questions with somebody's got?
What is that in front of your foot hanging down?
Oh, this right here. Yes, ma'am. So I'm not carrying it right now. Actually, none of us are. But this is a carbine boot. So if I had a short musket, I would put the barrel end of the musket in here. It would ride up in front of my leg. I'm going to find it, I'm sitting on it. And then this strap would tie around the back end of the carbine. So my carbine would be right here. I would also have a strap around my shoulder. While I've got this on the carbine, I keep it unbuckled. But when I go to take this off, if I'm going to use the carbine, I want to buckle it. The carbine will have a bar and a ring. I want to buckle it so that if I drop it, it's still attached to me. But I don't want to be buckled to it while it's attached to the saddle in case I come off. Then I got problems here. I mean, I've been on him a solid 10-hour day. It hadn't been an issue other than making sure we give them a little bit of water. If we got to get somewhere, they're generally pretty good. Now, our horses are a lot better cared for than the horses in the period. we don't ride them nearly as much as they were ridden. You read about some of Tarleton's marches where he was covering 20-some miles in a day. Usually, actually, he did a lot of those overnight. He would take a fast night march to try to catch up to folks. And he's covering in the 20 to 30 a day, which is really not that bad. It's not that hard to do with these guys. But then he's doing it day after day. And when they stop, there's only so much forage they can have on them. I could carry a bag with some forage, but that's not going to give me a lot. So they're trying to forage off of whatever's there. So as they keep doing those rides, the horses are getting weaker and thinner, and they start to wear the horse flesh out. And they'll get to periods where they have to actively stop to rest and let horses recover or find replacements. They definitely ride them a lot harder than we do. We take care of these. I pay good money to take care of my money.
What's his name?
This is Natty, short for Nathaniel. He's a Tennessee walker, so I don't know if you noticed when we trotted that a lot of the guys were bouncing pretty good. I get to ride pretty smooth.
How many miles can you run with it? Can you make them run for a mile? Like they always show in the movies, they're just riding fast the whole time?
You want to do that limited periods because if this is your transportation and this is your weapon in a fight, you're trying to preserve how you get around.
So it's more walking?
So they have rates of march where you do a mix of the horse walking, you trotting on the horse, and times that you would dismount and walk to give them a little bit of a break to be able to keep moving. And you rotate through those gates. If you had to close ground, yes, you could do some longer trots. But then you've got to balance what are the condition of your horses and what condition you need them to be when you're going to make contact with the enemy.
Yeah.
What's that?
They asked how old the horse was.
Oh, he's 14. He's 14. I expect to get another 14 years of good riding out of him until start to give him a break. I got a number of friends as they ride theirs and reenacting. They still got 30 to 32-year-old horses. Just depends on the individual animal and how they're doing. Because we won't take them out to abuse them. We care for them. And unfortunately, I've seen a few of them that when they stop riding them in events, I've had some friends that brought their retired horses out. One of them actually broke the line, and he would come jump in formation with everybody. So he's still riding the field with no rider. We were nervous at first, trying to catch the guy, but he did everything, stayed with us. I don't know if I give you the same information faster.
We appreciate you doing it.
And then for us, as we try to ride together, you notice some of our turns were tight and some were not. Because we come from all over the state. There's a couple here from North Carolina. I think I come from furthest east as I'm down outside of Charleston. And we get together here. So it takes us a bit warming up the horses, getting ourselves back into it, to get the horses to ride the formations. And as the weekend goes, I think the horses get better than the people. That herd mentality, they end up knowing where to go. And I've had times where he can listen to the commands. I can almost let the reins loose, and he'll go where the herd is supposed to go.
So you talked about horses had a natural instinct to back away from bayonets and stuff like that.
Yes.
Like formations. Is that a natural thing, or were horses trained to do that?
That's natural. They don't want to ride into something solid.
They're prey animals.
Especially they get the glint of bayonets. They see the sparkle and the light reflecting from a mass of them all together. And they see that the people aren't moving. You feel them, they get kind of a stutter step as they're coming closer where they're trying to tell you, hey, this isn't good, I don't want to go here. And it's a matter of whether you listen to them or not.
Is the cylinder by your knee for gunpowder? What is? Oh no.
Well, that's the holster. That's a leather holster for the pistol, single shot pistol. And I have to load from the muzzle, and I have to ram the powder and the musket ball into there. Can be difficult on horseback because when you tear your cartridge, first you have to put a little powder in that pan. There's this pan here and has the hole where the spark will go. And I close that pan that keeps the powder in. Then I have to pour the powder, the ball, ram that all down tight. Really want it tight because while I'm riding, I'm worried about it coming loose. And that's another reason we don't use the pistols much on horseback, because they tend to misfire since they've been beaten up riding around on the horse. Yes, ma'am.
Where do you carry your powder?
Because I only have these 2 pistols, I had a spot where I'd stick the cartridges in the holsters, but I'm not carrying much ammunition. Washington really wanted his men to use the saber, and Tarleton with the British Legion wanted his men to use the saber. I could have a cartridge box, and I don't think any of us put it on now, but I have a belly box, so it's a box with wooden block and has holes that I would put cartridges in there, and that way I have easy access to them. So if I had the carbine, I would want to have my box for cartridges so that I would be fighting with that. But some of that gets heavy over time, or you lose it.
Did Tarleton directly report to Cornwallis?
He did. He did when they came to the South. And actually when they came to Cowpens, Cornwallis had given Tarleton orders to try to cut off Morgan, because they'd heard that Morgan and Greene had separated. So Tarleton was trying to ride ahead, trying to catch Morgan, didn't realize that Morgan knew he was coming and was trying to find a good position to use the troops to his best advantage to try to defend against Tarleton coming. And by the time Tarleton did catch up to Morgan, Tarleton's men were tired. They'd ridden all night, got into Morgan in the morning. So if you think about how many miles they've ridden, the number of days they've ridden, now they've ridden overnight immediately into action the next day. So they had some struggles.